Throughout its basketball history, Egypt has won 5 AfroBasket titles. With 6 silver medals and 6 bronze, it's Africa's second best team. Yet it's been so long since it won its last title, 34 years ago.
Every competition we enter, our aim is to win the title. Of course, Angola is the strongest team in Africa. In 2013, we were Africa's second and qualified to the World Cup. Last competition, we've won 6 of our 7 matches. Unfortunately, we've met Angola in the quarterfinals and ended up being 5th. There has been a huge development in our teams lately.
Egypt has been lately investing tremendously in basketball. Nationwide programs have been launched to support the cadets programs. That has currently provided the national team with some of the strongest players it has seen in a while.
We are having a strong team this year. Asim Mari plays in Germany's First League. Ahmed Khalaf is just 19. He's in the Spanish First League. These players and more are the result of our latest focus on our youth base. The persisting problem, though, is when our players get a scholarship in the US, it's very difficult to recall them to the national team.
Lotfi says many countries have noticed the strength Egypt has been gaining in recent years in the sport. It has been evident in the number of invitations the team gets to play abroad.
We've been invited to attend a championship in China this July. In addition, we have invitation to hold 3 friendlies with South Korea's national team. This shows the good position we are in.
Even Egypt's international ranking has improved. It jumped nearly 20 positions from 60 to the 41st strongest team in the world. But when it comes to Africa, it still needs to beat the continent's top teams and win the AfroBasket. Adel EL Mahrouky, CGTN, Cairo.
Well, here to talk about this further is Cynthia Mumbo, CEO of Sports Connect Africa, which is a sports consultancy firm here in Nairobi. Now, Cynthia, thank you for joining us. We obviously have good players here in Africa. We've seen some go on to play in the NBA. But why is it lagging behind other sports in Africa? What exactly is lacking?
Can I ask, you think it's lagging? I don't think it is. I think we're in a development stage. If you can say that there are African players playing in the NBA now, that shows that there is something happening.
Right.
When you get the NBA interested in Africa and setting up an office in Africa, that tells you that one, there's potential. It just now requires for partners and here from a commercial aspect to get in. It requires for federations to get their acts together because it's very difficult to move sports without structure.
Right.
But I think the other thing is maybe the media is not doing its job on showing much. And I thank you for taking the opportunity to share information on what's going on in basketball, like the AfroBasket that's coming
right.
in a couple of months. But we don't get to see as much about basketball as you would probably as soccer. So then you also then get fans getting interested or getting the information the same way.
Indeed. Well, now talking about the first NBA Academy, we have one opening up in Senegal in May, I believe.
Open.
It's open now. What can we expect out of this? Is it going to be a situation where scouts are coming to maybe, take players off to other leagues, or is it something that can probably develop the league in Senegal and in Africa as well?
Okay, I will not speak on behalf of the NBA, but I believe what they are intending to do is to develop talent, and this is elite talent. So it's not just your everyday basketballer who wakes up and says. So they are already having junior NBA basketball leagues across several countries in Africa, and out of this, then they have the Basketball Without Borders, where they pick the best of the best from different countries across Africa, and the top of the range from that. Those who come for the Basketball Without Borders now go into the academy. So these are guys who are very capable of being picked by any of the NBA teams or any of the teams in Europe for professional basketball. And I think it's a fantastic thing for basketball in Africa.
Indeed, I do agree with you on that. Looking ahead to the future, you're quite positive about the state of basketball in Africa.
Yes.
How likely are we to see another, Hakeem Olajuwon, Lol Deng, Thabit in the near future?
I think it's it's very positive. These guys are not old names. I mean, apart from Hakeem Olajuwon, but Luol is playing right now. You have a couple of other guys from Senegal who are playing right now. So I would imagine probably this year we could have another one. Or there's a gentleman. He has Australian nationality, but he's South Sudanese. I'm sorry, his name has escaped me. But he was gotten into the NBA last year. Yeah. So I can tell you, a homegrown player, anytime. With the investment that the NBA has put, anytime.
And we'll be looking out for them. Finally, yes. You know, as somebody who's had a history in FIBA, as somebody who's been a player, looking at the women's game, where would you gauge it in Africa? What needs to be done to raise it to the profile it deserves to be at? Again,
I come from a background where I understand that men are given priority, and that's unfortunate. But women's basketball is actually very entertaining. It's very exciting. One of the things that needs to be done is, again, media. Because when people don't see, then they don't get to know. And then, you know, you can't have partners coming in and investing in sports if the eyes are not on the game. You know, so one of the really critical things that needs to happen is to have women's basketball more showcase. You'll be shocked that Kenya was in Egypt, you know, the other day, and our women are actually going on a wild card. They were second in Zone 5. On a wild card, they're going to Mali in September, and the team is actually top 10 in Africa. So this is stuff that you might not know, and I urge you to, you know, take a little bit of time and get to show more about what's happening within women's basketball in Africa. Indeed, we hope to do so and see more, not just from Kenya, but across Africa. Definitely. As well. Cynthia Mumbo, thank you for joining us, CEO of Sports Connect Africa here in Nairobi.